Let's go!
Woof, woof. All right, let's get it off right now. Mike, very excited today. Very excited for you guys because today we don't have one, not two, but three guests that are going to be in the house today. We have Derek O'Rourke from Vaporwake K9. And who else do we have, Mike?
We also have Beth, which you're going to see who that is, and the lovely Ellen.
And the lovely Ellen. Should we tell them who Ellen is? Because they're listening to this. They're not going to watch it.
Yeah, I think we should.
Ellen is a beautiful, beautiful Labrador Retriever whose sole purpose in life is to sniff the bombs and the odors that you emit. We're not talking about your farts. What are we talking about, Mike? What are we talking about?
We're talking about explosive combustibles, which, I mean, for some people, that is their flagella.
And it could be explosive, too, if you think about it.
Well, on that note.
Yes, but that's what we're going to be listening to today, and you're going to get a little glimpse into the world of what is done to prevent bad things happening to you. Next, I'm standing in the 6.
Straight out of the T-Dot.
That's what it is.
Live from the 6 boroughs.
Don't go nowhere.
For sure. Welcome to Standing in the 6 with your hosts, Michael and Constantine.
Okay, let's just dive right in right now.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Well, good morning, everyone. Very excited today because today we have, not only do we have Derek O'Rourke from Vaporwake K9,
Yep.
but we also have a very special guest. Well, two of them, actually. We have Betty or
Beth.
Oh, my God. See, you
you
said
did
Betty.
it.
There,
You did it.
She messed me up. I got Beth and Ellen, and we're gonna find out who Ellen is afterwards.
Yes.
But yeah, let's dive right in. I'm really excited that you're here, man. And we had a conversation, probably I don't know, back in the summertime when you were telling me that you were coming into this new venture.
Yeah, it was November.
Was it November?
Yeah, November, yeah.
And when you were describing and telling me what you're diving into, man, I mean, this was some pretty exciting stuff. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Now, how was it? Did he surprise you with the information?
I mean,
Or with the decision.
yeah.
to-
Oh,
to
yeah.
dive in.
Yeah. I mean, to be quite frank, everything to me is always excitement. Everything. If you tell me you get me a coffee, I'm excited, right?
Especially if you're paying for it.
Exactly. But I mean, why don't we go backwards a bit? So, how did you've been in Toronto for how long right now?
Since 2015.
2015.
So, yeah, summer of 2015. I worked for an event security company, a global event security company. Who shall
Let's get the mic a little closer.
who
to
shall
you,
remain nameless.
because I love that accent right now, and I want
Yes.
I want to hear a little bit more.
thought, yeah.
Well, obviously I am Irish.
I love Jamaican
I'm
accents.
from I'm from Jamaica in County Dublin.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
And I moved here to work for an event security company
Okay.
in 2015 and project managed the Pan Am Games for said company.
Nice.
Decided to move the family over
Yes.
to assume a position as general manager and moved up the ranks to director of operations to
Yeah.
vice president of operations. And then I just decided that there was easier ways of making money. No offense,
Yes,
guys,
yeah.
but the security industry is tough.
It is.
It's really tough. I've been big fans of yours and what you do to achieve the success you've achieved. It's very hard to gain a reputation in this city or in this country as a reputable security company, and you've managed to do that. So congratulations.
Appreciate that.
Obviously, I was looking at other ways to stay involved in public safety, counterterrorism strategies, so on and so forth. And I came across Vaporwake. So what Vaporwake is it's different to traditional canine detection.
Okay.
So Vaporwake is the detection of suicide bombers and people that carry body-worn explosives or weapons. So your traditional bomb dog can detect static objects and sees luggage, garbage cans, cars, and anything that's abandoned or statically placed as productive areas of search.
Okay.
Where your Vaporwake dog is different is your Vaporwake dog samples the thermal heat plume left in a person's wake, hence the term Vaporwake. So our dogs are genetically bred, they're scientifically trained by Auburn University in Alabama and their Canine Performance Science program. And we took the research from Gary Settle from Penn State into the thermal heat plume, decided that there is a better way to detect explosives especially after the underwear bomber in 2009 attempted to blow up a plane from Amsterdam to, I believe it was Detroit he was flying into. So Auburn University was approached to try and determine a better way to detect explosives, especially being carried by the human body, whether it be in a backpack or strapped to a person, such as a suicide bomber. And hence, Vaporwake was born after a decade of research by scientists in Auburn University. They genetically breed the dogs, so the dogs are a cross between an Australian Customs Labrador and a US working Labrador who just had a huge amount of drive and a lot of energy. And the dog's olfactory system is, far superior than that of a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois, who are pointy-eared dogs, who are also deemed to be an aggressive type dog, which are great for, police work, military applications. But we wanted a dog that would be non-obtrusive and that would be a friendly dog in the sense that it's the US and Canada's #1 pet. So we wanted people not to avoid the dog because, you obviously need to screen people.
Right.
So the last thing you want is people to circumvent a dog.
So, for example, I know, Mike, you're looking at getting, was it a Doberman?
Yes.
I guess they're very scary-looking dogs, right?
Amazing dog, great
Right.
dog.
Yeah.
All the dogs are great, to be honest. But there's certain applications that they're more suited to,
Right.
And a Doberman would be a great police working dog,
Yes.
especially from a detection perspective, from a drugs detection perspective, and from a biting perspective if they needed to apprehend. So yeah, a really good dog.
And optics. I mean, the presence of a Doberman.
Yeah.
It's very
that's
scary.
what
Yeah.
you're alluding to.
Yes.
That the Doberman, not everyone, people cross the street when they see someone just casually walking a Doberman.
And we don't want that with our Labradors. We
Yes.
want people not to avoid, but to
Like-
not interact either because it's a working dog.
Right.
But not to circumvent the dog so that the dog can actually sample their thermal heat plume as we're traversing behind them.
For sure.
So-
Very approachable.
Can you
very approachable
Man,
dog.
this is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this thermal heat plume.
Yes.
Okay, can you describe what is that?
Yeah. So basically, as we're sitting here, we're emitting vast amounts of heat from our body. So much so that they used Gary Suttle's research from Penn State University and his Schlerin photography to demonstrate the amount of heat that we're emitting as we sit here. And as we're walking, we're leaving that heat behind us, and we're moving our arms and we're dispersing that heat, and it's intermixing with the explosive materials that we imprint on the dogs, and hence it's a patented technology, and hence the term vaporwake.
Right.
So what they discovered is that obviously subject to environmental conditions, etc. Big rooms, open spaces, how the wind affects. But our handlers are trained to basically accommodate all those environmental conditions when they're screening. But basically, potentially our dog could detect explosives or indeed firearms on a person, either carried in a backpack or strapped from up to 15 yards away, or maybe up to 2 minutes after that person has left the scene.
Wow.
Our dog can come across the vaporwake.
So it's basically like a jet stream when you look up
Exactly.
in the sky, and my kids are always
Exactly.
like, "Daddy, look!"
That's exactly.
and that
what it's
lingers.
like.
That just lingers there.
It lingers for a certain period before it disperses completely or
That's
it rises.
crazy.
Yeah. So basically, the thermal heat plume is as tangible to the dog's olfactory system as vibrantly colored ribbons are to the human eye.
Okay. Wow.
But
Really?
a dog's olfactory system it's unbelievable.
Crazy.
They're still not convinced, and there's still research going on that they know everything about a dog's olfactory system.
Okay.
So just to break it down very simplistically, that's a big word for
Yeah,
this hour of the
yeah,
morning.
yeah.
So our olfactory system, we probably have about 6 million olfactory receptors. A dog has upwards of up to 300 million.
Okay.
So a Labrador has about 200 million,
Okay.
and their olfactory system, it's basically it's so precise in the sense that as we inhale air, we're also exhaling air, and our scents and the odors that we pick up are intermixed.
Okay.
With a dog, as they inhale, the odor is actually the air is actually split. 12% goes into a different part of the nose that goes to the olfactory system, and the olfactory bulb that basically identifies those odors, comparably speaking, is 40 times greater than ours. So to give you another example, what we
Wow.
could see a third of a mile away clearly, in visual terms, a dog could probably see 3,000 miles away, just as a comparison.
Okay.
Or if you could detect half a spoon of sugar in your coffee, a dog could detect half a spoon of sugar in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's
Oh,
just
wow.
as
Okay.
an analogy.
Wow.
That's just a comparator.
Crazy.
But and then equally, as they're exhaling, they have 2 slits in the side of their nose here. I don't know whether you've ever noticed that on a dog, but that actually allows them to exhale without intermixing the odors as they're coming in. So it's amazing.
It's like they're
And-
meant for this.
Yeah,
This
and
is my
it's,
job.
and it's never going to be replicated
So
by
one
machinery.
way in, another way out, without
Basically,
it ever cross
yes,
converging.
yeah, and it's never going to be replicated by machinery. A dog's olfactory system is just too.
Well, that was going to be a question. Could
precise.
AI potentially come into the mix here?
No, they're looking at it, but I reckon that if there was anything ever close, they're at least a couple of decades away.
Right.
You must be familiar with this. I saw an article, pardon me, about a year and a half ago, and there was a U.S. Campaign or a project where they spent, I think, $14 billion, and after 10 years they closed it up because they tried to create a sniffer. It was basically a robot that
An
was
artificial
a
sniffer,
an
yeah.
artificial
Yep.
sniffer.
Yep.
And after I think $14 billion later, the director of that entire program made a closing announcement, said that we're closing it because nothing we've done can supersede one dog.
No.
That's the actual quote.
Yeah, and
$14 billion of U.S. military money,
Wow.
which is American money.
But they have the money.
Yeah, that's just, you're right.
Yeah.
That
They're
was-
creating a space force. They
Yes.
have the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
But
Wow.
one dog supersedes anything that they've tried to do over the 10 years.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, at least they have an expensive learning lesson right now.
Yeah,
right?
at least they admitted
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah,
At
well,
least
that's it. I mean, I come from a country where they tried to spend millions on a electronic voting system and failed miserably, but they never told anybody it failed and just put the machines into storage, never
Yeah.
to be heard of
Oh,
again.
oh
So
my
at least
goodness.
they admitted their error.
Yeah.
Right.
But the canines are amazing, especially our Labradors. As I said, they're genetically bred and scientifically trained. So the genetic part of it is important as well from a health perspective and also from a working time perspective. So we have a one dog, one handler policy and certification process. So that's great for us. From our perspective, the dog works for about 75% of the time. So for every hour of sniff time, they'll work about 75% of that.
Let me
Okay.
ask you, there's so many things that happen across different industries, specialized work,
Yep.
that the average person has no clue, but it serves them.
Mm-hmm.
It somehow either provides them clean drinking water or whatever.
Yep.
Why does it matter to the average person out there? Why this canine work? They might just think of like Turner and Hooch and some of their movies that they've
Yeah.
seen, or Canine with James Belushi.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing movie.
Yeah.
I was a Lassie fan.
Yes. Hey, I had a privilege just to work on a show, Hudson and Rex, which is a canine show that was from Germany,
Awesome.
got remade. You'll see it on TV. But that's what we know. Why, what you're doing, Ellen, oh, sorry. I'll rewind that. We haven't introduced Ellen yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
Yes.
Yes.
Beth's work. Why does it matter? Okay. Why does it matter? Like, I mean, like, no one would know, like, who's your clientele? What, like, what does a regular day look like? How is this really serving the average person?
Okay, so as we know, it's a changing world. The domestic and international terrorist threat is there. We're extremely lucky in Canada that our intelligence services have been as precise with their intel as they have been. But I mean, there's been 2 incidents in the last year and a half where they've intercepted a potential terrorist attack. One was in London, Ontario, where a young man became radicalized, was on his way to the London GO station, or the London Via Rail station, I should say, to make his way down to Union to potentially detonate a device. The RCMP intercepted him. The young man was killed in the process, and the explosive device that he had on his person detonated in the back of a taxi. So the threat is there. The problem is that recognizing the threat and being proactive to it is as important as the intelligence that comes with it. So dogs are mandated by most major league sports in the US, and obviously, as you know, with us being the NBA champions,
Yes.
we do have an NBA team here, we have an MLB team here, we have an MLS team here, we have an NHL team here, as does Canada have some of those other elements from sporting organizations as well. So every sporting organization in the US mandates explosive detection dogs for their arenas or stadiums. So the reason for that is obviously to keep the public safe. A lot of people don't even know that the venue has been screened and locked down for explosives. So what we do is we take that and we introduce the firearms element. So we can do that ahead of every venue and every concert, and in every venue, ahead of every concert, ahead of every sporting event. We take our canines, we go in, we screen the venue, we lock it down. It's deemed secure as long as the measures are put in place to lock it down adequately.
Right.
Then our vaporwake dogs begin the process of screening people as they make their way to the stadium or arena. So they would.
So how many dogs are we talking about right now? Let's just say if you're let's say you're going to come to a place like the Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
How many dogs would you be coming into the mix right from the get-go, from the introduction?
The Scotiabank Arena is,
as an example, using it as a template.
Yeah, it's unique in the sense that I always liken the Scotiabank Arena to Manchester Arena, where that tragedy took place in 2017.
Yes, Ariana Grande. Yes,
because it has a Galleria.
Yeah.
Which is linked to a public transit system.
Okay.
So if we took the Galleria, for argument's sake, as a prime example, you're talking about a vaporwake dog on each entrance. So you're talking about one on Bay, one in Bremner Square,
okay,
or Maple Leaf Square, I should say, and one,
AKA Jurassic Park.
Park,
yeah.
Or one, one between the Union York Concourse and the Galleria itself.
Okay.
So you're talking about 3 dogs there, and then potentially not one for each gate around the around the arena, but one where people are making their way towards those gates,
right?
Because the dogs can screen vast amounts of people. That's their specialty. So vaporwake isn't a discipline. That's our brand. It's a patented brand in the US.
Yes.
The discipline is mass screening.
Okay.
And it's mass screening.
I wasn't aware that they can do mass screening.
Oh yeah. That's what they're developed and designed to do, and that's the mass screening of people as they make their way towards events, stadiums, arenas. And and that's what they do, is they traverse behind these people as they pass through. So they're an added layer of security to your perimeter security.
So let's just say right now someone has something on them.
Yes.
Okay. What indication does the canine give you that, hey, this guy's suspicious?
It's called a passive indication. So what the dog will do is the dog will first of all pick up on the odor. He will trail that person, and we'll keep a standoff distance behind. So firstly, we're not alerting the suspect that we're onto him.
Right.
Secondly, for our own safety, but having said that, depending on the amount of explosive material that he's carrying, our handler and our canine are probably gunners anyway if he decides to detonate. But that's why we recruit law enforcement people and ex-military people like Beth. Beth is ex-US Air Force. They have a mindset of putting themselves in harm's way to protect the general public.
For the whole,
and it's a mindset that, a lot of, and this is with the greatest respect, that a lot of civilians wouldn't have.
Okay.
In the sense of putting themselves directly in harm's way to protect the public.
Mm-hmm.
You're a certain breed of person to do that.
Yeah, you're hardwired.
You're exactly.
You are a little different.
Exactly. You are definitely wired.
A born protector or something.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys know. You guys do executive protection. And that's what you do.
Right.
It's a special mindset. And I've seen your training videos, and you guys do it really well. So it is about putting yourself in harm's way, and at that stage, what we'll do is one of two things: we'll pass it off to, we'll escalate it to the proper authorities, which would be in this case Toronto Police.
Yes.
And they would take over from there, because we're not equipped to deal with it in the sense that we're not the first line of response in the escalation process.
Yes.
We're the detector.
Detection, yes.
We're the detector, we're the mitigator.
Right.
But we're not the interceptor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would pass that off to Toronto Police. We'd make sure that we don't pass it off until they have a visual on the suspect. And at that stage, that's when they take over and they intercede. What we do is we then track back.
Yes.
Because we want to make sure, A, that that's not a decoy with a small amount of explosive, and the secondary threat isn't coming in behind us. So we backtrack straight away and we start screening again. Or, the device hasn't been placed as we're tracking. But having said that, if the device was placed, our dog would stay with the device. He wouldn't follow the person.
Okay.
So, and that's the difference, is our dog is trained to detect the odor, to stay with the odor. So if the package was abandoned while we're tracking, we would stay with the odor.
Okay.
But secondary, we would backtrack and we would do a secondary scan of patrons coming in behind.
Okay.
because-
I mean, to me, like the insane thing about this is that the skill set that the dog brings to what it can do is on a whole different level. If I'm a business, if I'm an arena, if I'm this, to me, this is an easy sell. Okay, if you think about it, what it can do. Because look, at the end of the day, we just talked about what the dog can do over a human being when it comes just to its senses.
Yes.
Are you finding, because Vaporwake is relatively new to Canada?
Vaporwake, yeah, it is relatively new. It was here in 2016, but it was contracted directly by the NBA for NBA All-Star.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
But
that was their first time on
But that
site.
was their first time
Right.
in Toronto, 2016. The second time Vaporwake dogs have appeared in Canada
Yep.
is via Rail Police. So via
Okay.
Rail Police have a Vaporwake program.
Okay.
They have two
Oh,
dogs.
So that's
Yes.
Okay.
And the two dogs, obviously, they patrol via rail stations. They travel on via rail trains.
Okay.
And again, there are Auburn
Yes.
bred Labradors.
Amazing. Amazing.
So, just to tell you that, Auburn University are our partners.
Yes.
We, as Vaporwake, are licensed, and we're the exclusive licensed provider to sell Vaporwake dogs in the world.
Okay.
So we're basically the commercial arm of Auburn University.
So it's not just about the service. You can also sell the dog. There's
We can sell the dogs and with the handler training, and they come with certification from Auburn University.
So if I wanted to buy a bomb sniffing dog just for the sake of having one, just say to my friends, "Hey man, I got a bomb sniffing
Yes.
dog," I could directly go and buy a dog, train with a handler. Not with a handler, trained to the point where I can kind of handle it afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the differential is we can actually sell you a traditional bomb sniffing dog,
Yes.
or we can sell you a Vaporwake dog.
Okay.
So that's the difference, is that there is distinct disciplinary differences between a traditional dog who cannot do what a Vaporwake dog does,
Yes.
and a Vaporwake dog who can do what a traditional dog can do, and
Yeah.
then fall back out onto his specialized Vaporwake role.
So you answered my question that I was going to ask, which was, what is the difference between a Vaporwake dog and a regular bomb sniffing
So the
dog?
regular bomb sniffing dog would be the one that goes in and screens your venue for statically placed devices,
Yes.
whether it be
Yes.
in a garbage bin,
Right.
or whether it's an
Yeah.
abandoned suitcase or bag. Check under your seating,
Yeah.
check your washrooms,
Right.
all of those things.
Media bags and gear.
Media
all
bags,
that stuff.
yes.
the whole lot that
Yeah.
are placed on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Vaporwake dog can do that, but then, as I said, reverts to his specialized role, which is sniffing the ambient air.
Yes.
amazing.
So the traditional dog is sniffing items that
Yes.
he's taught to see as productive areas of search.
Yeah.
But the Vaporwake dog is sniffing the air. So his nose is always up.
Huge value. Huge.
So and that's where Auburn University's training comes into it,
Yeah.
because the dog starts his training from 0 months.
Yes.
So what they do is they take the dogs, Auburn University and their Canine Performance Science program, they take their dogs and they play games with them to teach them to keep their head up. They cognitively test them, they MRI them, they socialize them, environmentalize them for 6 months. Then at 6 months, they're evaluated to see do they progress to the next stage. The next stage is the dogs go into the federal prison system in Georgia. So they are paired up with a pre-approved federal prisoner who is part of this program.
Wow. Yeah.
And he has the dog for another 6 months to socialize, to environmentalize, and to
make him
play games.
street smart.
Make him street smart.
smart.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let me tell you how things happen.
Yeah, exactly. And also to play the games that trains the dog to keep his head up
Yeah.
as he's sniffing the ambient air.
Yeah.
At 12 months, they come back to Auburn, who again do more cognitive tests.
What a contrast to like the standard working dog that goes to the Smith family.
Yeah,
and
the standard
little
working
Johnny
dog-
and little Jackie get to play with this lab puppy until
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're gonna go with a prisoner.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, there is definitely a place in this world for your traditional bomb dog. There is
Yes.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They're an
Yes, but not
essential
in
tool.
this room, Derek. Not in this
No,
room.
exactly.
Not today when you're talking to
Not
Vaporwake.
today.
Yes.
And we do sell traditional bomb dogs.
Yes.
We train them, we sell them to law enforcement agencies. We have a law enforcement division. And we're part of a cargo screening canine alliance, which is canine-centric partners, which are TSA, third-party canine approved centers to provide air cargo screening capabilities, which is coming to Canada, by the way. In February 2021, Transport Canada are looking at an initiative called the Explosive Detection Dog Handler Team, of which I sit on the working group, just to throw that in there.
Nice.
And from February 2021, with regulations approved hopefully later this year, we will be able to bring dogs, traditional bomb dogs, in to screen cargo that's being loaded onto passenger airplanes, onto freight airplanes, and that will have huge benefits to the cargo industry and the freight forwarding industry. Because if you take a pallet of cargo or a skid of cargo, to depalletize it, put it through an X-ray machine, repalletize it, takes about 4 people, 6 minutes. A dog can do it in 20 seconds without having to depalletize it. So there's going to be huge
big savings
both from a time perspective and a financial perspective. So that's coming, and that's where traditional bomb dogs are amazing. Plus, if you don't go the vaporwake route and you just want traditional bomb dogs to sweep your venue, that's fine. At least you're still being proactive. However, vaporwake dogs are an amazing additional layer to your already layered security for large events and large venues, because not only do they detect explosives, they detect firearms.
Right.
And that's huge in Toronto at the moment.
A regular bomb dog, can he detect a firearm?
A regular bomb dog can be trained to detect firearms as well.
Okay.
As well as ammunition.
Well,
right?
This is the thing.
I mean, if there was someone had bullet or lingering gunpowder.
And this is the thing, whether the firearm was ever fired or not, our dog can still detect on firearms. And the reason for that is we don't just train them on the explosive element, which is the powder.
Yes.
We train them on the bore oils, on
Really?
the metal parts, the polymers.
Which are distinct.
Odors.
For all firearms?
All firearms.
Wow.
All firearms. I mean, we have a great video of Ellen on a training exercise.
That's
during
incredible.
The week, and she found a .22 rifle at the back of a couch hidden in a venue here that we use as a training venue in Toronto. And the video is just amazing to see.
Wow.
Yes.
That's insane.
But the vaporwake dog, again, where it differentiates is if you're carrying a firearm and it's concealed and you're walking through a crowd of people, and we use the Scotiabank Arena, and we're not affiliated with Scotiabank Arena in any way.
For now.
Yeah. But if you're walking up to the Scotiabank Arena and you have a concealed firearm and there's a vaporwake dog on site, vaporwake dog, chances are, will find that firearm.
Right.
Amazing.
I'll tell you, if I'm a business, right, like the Scotiabank Arena, I want this service. What has been your response so far? Because I know I've been following, obviously, you on social media as well.
Yes.
And you've been doing an amazing job of showing videos. I saw this one video of the canine. It looked like he was at a subway station, and then this person was kind of just walking, and it just kind of redirected right away, like it just smelled the
That's actually one of the international airports in Johannesburg in
Africa.
South Africa.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, we're under contract through Vaporwake South Africa,
which
is an affiliate of ours, to provide Vaporwake services to all of South Africa's international airports.
Wow, amazing.
So that was a training video where, as you said, quite rightly said, the dog doesn't know he's in training. For the dogs, it's a real scenario.
Right.
But somebody was not even carrying a backpack. It was concealed explosives on the person.
Right.
And she walks past the dog, but the dog didn't even get a chance to get in behind her to take up on her vaporwake.
Right.
He picked up on the odor straight away from about 10 feet away, 12 feet away, and he snapped the handler around and almost broke the handler's shoulder.
Yeah.
And homed in on that person and followed that person until she stopped, and then obviously he gets his reward.
Right.
But it's an impressive video. But we've so many of those videos.
No, I mean, and the thing is, are businesses, how are they receiving Vaporwake? Because to me, Vaporwake is new technology to Canada. If you look at it from what goes on, and they may be used to another style or another way, right?
Yes, correct.
Even in what we do in our line of work, we're always trying to elevate. Look, we understand you could be doing it like this, but let's show you how it's done like this.
Exactly.
So how has been your journey trying to get Vaporwake in Canada, get people, to receive what it could do?
Yes, look, some organizations are very receptive. Others are a little bit more cynical.
Okay.
However, once we get in front of them and can demonstrate the dog's capabilities, like we did in March of this year, and we had some pretty impressive clients attend the demonstration, they then see the capabilities. In fact, Toronto Police were at the demonstration, and their CBNRE unit brought along some explosive material for us to use for our decoy. Yeah. And very impressed. But what they did was they took a small amount of det cord. And if you know det cord at all, you need substantial amounts of it for it to be anyway a threat. This was a relatively small amount of det cord, probably an inch. They put it in the pocket of a Toronto police officer who thought he could mask it with chewing gum. And our dog picked up on it from about 8 feet away. Wow. So Toronto Police's bomb detection unit turned around and said, that's a game changer. But we've heard that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Michael Downing, LAPD chief of police, his exact words were, these dogs are a game changer. You know.
Yeah.
So we have some amazing testimonials from people. Tim Luecki, who was the ex chief executive officer of MLSE, he very famously and publicly stated that he asks himself the question every time that if the dogs, vaporweight dogs, had been deployed at Manchester Arena, could they have stopped the attack? And he says the answer he comes up with every time is most definitely.
Right. Right.
So our dogs, as it stands, you asked me previously who our client list is. In the US particularly, it's huge because, as you said, it's relatively new to Canada. So in the US, our client base is NYPD, Counterterrorism, LAPD, Chicago PT, Detroit PD, numerous sheriff's departments from a law enforcement perspective. From a commercial perspective, we have Apple. We've done work with Google. Our dogs are in Disneyland and Disney World.
Nice.
They're in Notre Dame University. They're in MSU, Michigan State. They're Harrah's Cherokee Resort. They're with the NFL for special events.
Can imagine.
We had 26 vaporweight teams at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
We did the NFL draft. We have just been awarded several contracts from the NFL, who I can't tell you who the client list is at the moment. But yeah, it's just huge.
That's amazing, man.
The problem we had before was that the breeding program couldn't keep up with demand.
Right.
But now we're at the stage where the breeding program is.
So the demand was beyond the supply, obviously.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they're just an amazing tool. You know, I mean, NYPD are just, you know, they're all over it. They're taking more dogs off us. They already have 14, and they're taking another 6 vaporweight dogs.
I can imagine.
You know, I'll tell you, Canada. There's this stereotype that Canada has, and people buy into it all the time. Oh, we're the safest place, or we're this, we're that. People need to wake up and see what's happening around. Not, when you say around the world, I mean around Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, not to push fear into any of this, but we're not that safe place that people think we are. I mean, things are happening all the time. People are stopping things before they're getting there.
Completely agree.
But it's there, and to me, the whole aspect is being preventative, right? You know.
Exactly, and you know, and that's testament, in fairness, to Canada's intelligence services. But you know, the intelligence
which have done a
services,
superb job.
and in conjunction with the FBI, they have a very close working relationship.
Yes,
with
they have great reputation.
Yes.
Great reputation working off intel.
So you know, the problem is that they have to be lucky all the time. The terrorist only has to be lucky once. And the other problem is as well is, you know, there are returning jihadis. You know, since the collapse of the ISIS caliphate, there's people coming back to Canada that, you know, would be intent on doing harm. You know, I think it's very hard to turn somebody once they have an ideological view. I actually have a friend of mine. I'm not sure if you guys ever came across him or follow him on LinkedIn. His name is Sheikh Mubin. So
Not familiar.
Oh, guys, you should get him on your show. Sheikh was radicalized as a jihadi in the early 2000s, and turned informant and undercover agent for SIT6.
Okay.
And for the RCMP. And he was instrumental in the prosecution of the Canadian or Toronto terror cell post the 2001 terror attacks.
Yes.
So, and
Wow.
he's quite publicly out there. He gives lectures to the Defense Intelligence Agency in the US and to the US Air Force on radicalization and Islam 101. Definitely a great guest for your show if you could have him. He's based here in Toronto.
Okay, nice.
Amazing guy. So, you know, he will tell you that there is an issue in Canada. You know, people are being radicalized. If you read any article about Canadian terrorists, you will see that not just in Canada, but, you know, they've been prosecuted in the US. There's a guy from Toronto, I believe, who just got 40 years for attempting to blow up the New York subway. He was sentenced there recently. So, you know, there is a Canadian problem that people need to identify with.
Right.
All our law enforcement agencies identify with it.
Right.
It's just the public need to identify with it, and event people and planners and security people also need to identify with it.
For sure.
I mean, Canada's threat level currently stands at medium.
Okay.
You know, which is an attack is likely. It's not imminent, but it's likely.
It's likely.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
you know, we need to start looking at layers and security layers.
Preventative layers.
And preventative layers,
Yeah.
you know, and mitigate these attacks.
Yes.
And, you know, dogs are a great way of doing it. Put your vaporweight dog from a layered security approach on your perimeter. Amazing. Use the PR, push people away from your stadium. If they think vaporweight dogs are in situ, they're not going to come near you. They're going to move down the road.
Now, what about for drug detection?
Yeah, we can do narcotics dogs. We're actually looking at introducing narcotics detection on vapor. So it would be the same principle, which is, mixing the narcotic odors with the thermal plumes and, bringing in the whole vapor wake element. So that's something that we are looking at for
Okay.
sure. But yeah, we can supply narcotics detection dogs. We can supply general purpose dogs, which is your attack dog for policing agencies only and for military applications. So, I mean, we actually do deal with the Department of National Defence from a green dog perspective, which is an untrained dog or a partially trained dog. And we supply them to Canadian Special Forces Command.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Let's look at the other side of the coin now, which is basically life with Ellen or any of the other dogs out there that
Yes.
that are looking to have a handler.
Yeah.
I think we should just do a proper introduction right now. So we have Beth, who's offset, and she has the lovely Ellen.
Yes.
Not
Hey, girl.
yeah,
Hey.
who's a beautiful
Hey,
canine.
girls.
Yeah. Who's enjoying, I think, the cold floor right now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. She had a long walk up from Union Station. Union Station accommodated us by allowing us to bring Ellen through the station this morning. So
Great.
as a courtesy, we just let them know that we had a canine
Oh, very
coming
nice.
through. But she was working the station as she's coming through.
Yes.
She wasn't even being
Free of charge.
Free of charge, yeah. But she-
busy like the average Torontonian, right?
Exactly.
Constantly working. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Ellen is a 2.5-year-old Labrador. She actually is part of our Cargo Screening Canine Alliance division as such. It's
Yeah.
a separate company completely.
Okay.
But VWK9 managed the program for the CSK9 Alliance. Our president, Paul Hammond, is the president of CSK9. So she's part of our cargo screening division. Hence why she's available to come today, because we're busy.
Okay.
But we made space in our operational deployment to get her here for
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah,
And,
amazing.
she
Much
loved
appreciated.
the walk up from Union. Me, not so much.
Yeah.
It was a long walk. I have to say, when you said Bay Street,
Yeah.
Bay Street for me stretches from Union Station to City Hall.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
so,
right.
so when I had to walk this far, I got to say it was a workout that I
It's a
shed
great
some,
way.
Wow.
Great,
Shed some
great way
pounds.
to start the
I
day.
shed
Yeah.
some pounds.
Great
Yeah.
way to start the day.
But Ellen is a very special dog. She's very friendly.
Yeah.
And Beth can allude more. She's super person friendly, which is what we want. We want them to be approachable, but not when they're working, obviously. But as I said to you, we don't want people to avoid the dog.
Okay.
Which is what happens with your pointy-eared breeds. People
Okay.
are nervous of dogs. On average, 4.5 million people in North America are bitten by dogs every year.
Okay.
Which is staggering.
Yes.
And it's generally a pointy-eared breed that is the culprit.
Okay.
So, having America or North America's number one pet as a detection dog is just invaluable from a PR perspective as well.
Amazing. Should we let the viewers in on this to get let them get a glimpse of this, Mike? What should we
Yeah,
do?
it would be great
do
to.
it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Hey, there's Beth.
Yeah.
Beth on the mic.
Finally.
Hey,
Yeah.
Beth. Thanks for holding out. Before we jump to, I just want to ask you.
Yeah.
What's life like doing your regular day is not like the average person.
Not at all.
I mean, people in the city love their dogs. What's the most rewarding aspect of it is for you to be able to do this line of work?
Well, I get jazzed. She loves working. Even on the walk here, she searched every bag
It was
without
funny.
me asking her.
Wow.
If only all those in security and protection and loved as much.
But you know what, guys? Sorry to cut across you, Ben. It was so funny to see. We were walking up Bay, and any bag that was being carried, she was on it. And people didn't even know they were being screened, and she wasn't even working as such. She was just doing this off her own back. So it was
Wow.
really
It's
funny.
It's amazing.
We got to get a GoPro on her.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's pumped. It makes it easy to get up and do what I love doing and working her. And that's the difference. Like I have 3 other dogs at home that are just pets, right? And she's my number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Above all of my kids, above everybody else, my world revolves around my working dog, right? She takes number one. That's the biggest difference,
Yeah, it's amazing.
right? But it's not work when you love doing what you do. And I mean, she finds bombs better than any other dog I've known.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've worked a few really, really good bomb dogs,
Yeah.
and she's just it's impressive. And her bloodline, it's just I can't say enough about the breeding program at Auburn.
Yeah, so I guess that is the source. I mean, technically, you got to give a lot of credit to that pedigree
Absolutely.
and all the training and what
Yeah.
they're doing.
And
Yeah.
it's important to state as well, guys, that only 10% of the litter make the vaporweight program.
Really?
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
only
So they're the
10%.
chosen ones.
They're the chosen ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Only
The,
10%.
the Jason Bourne.
The Jason Bourne of bomb detection dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. So only 10% of every litter born in Auburn
Actually passed.
actually passed the testing to make the vaporweight program. So after the 12 months of socialization, environmentalization, etc., they come to VWK9, vaporweight K9, and that's when we imprint more odors, maybe firearm odors, and we get them operationally ready to be deployed.
Okay.
So,
This is where the socially responsible side of me has to ask,
Yeah.
what happens to,
To
the other
90%.
90%?
Yes.
yeah, we
Does it disintegrate?
we hand them over to Purina for. No, I'm joking. No, they actually they're amazing. They make other programs, canine programs, whether it's search and rescue,
Right.
Okay.
whether it's guide dogs, whether it's
Yes.
automatic
There's a number of
PTSD
So,
dogs.
so they go into the D
Ther-
League. They go into the D
therapy
League,
dogs.
Go into
right?
the D
this-
League, yeah. Doesn't make them any less a superstar.
Exactly.
Chris Boucher can testify
Yeah,
to
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's true.
But,
Specialists are specialists.
Yeah,
specialists
it's
are
true, man.
Not everyone's
yeah.
born for it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Totally
yeah,
fine.
But no, it's an amazing program that Auburn has.
And that, how long is that training program again? From the time they start to the time they're ready to leave?
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
And then, Beth, when you're right now, because you are the handler for Ellen,
Yep.
how long did you again spend time with Ellen training?
Well, we're a little bit of an exception to the rule because I've been handling dogs for about 5 years now.
Okay.
So Ellen and I took about 2 weeks to become a bonded pair and certify together. But that's only because she was already imprinted on the odors and knew how to do her job, and same applied to me as well.
Right.
It was just us doing it together as a team.
If I'm someone that wants to join the team and I want to fly down to Alabama, how long do I have to stay? 7 weeks, is it?
7 weeks,
Yep.
yeah. 7
Okay.
weeks handler training course, and
We know somebody. I'm not. She might be working for you, but we do know someone who's. came
Yeah,
from-
I think I referenced her to you a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Let's
she
not
had
say names right now.
Israeli
Just-
background, did a lot of canine.
yeah, she
Yeah.
she didn't want to work dogs.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay.
hey,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
understand Drake's music that is inspiring.
yeah, she didn't want to work dogs. She was interested in hearing about the program because
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Israeli Defense Forces, they're just like at the forefront of counterterrorism.
Right.
So
Exactly.
she was interested to hear about the vaporweight program, but no,
Yes.
she had no more interest in working
So,
dogs.
so the commitment is if because I'm looking at them two ways. So there's the one side where the business wants to obviously bring the service on, but
Yes.
there's also the person that wants to do this, right?
Yes.
So I want to become a handler. I basically sign on to Vaporwake. I
Yes.
have to obviously go through the process, be interviewed, fit the right criteria.
Absolutely.
I go down
Obviously, high criteria.
to high criteria,
Yeah.
exactly.
Not just an attitude that begins in each day with enthusiasm
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
resume.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a millennial attitude. Okay. Okay.
Proficient in Microsoft Excel.
Yeah. Okay. So I go down to Alabama. I do my 7
Yes.
weeks training.
Yes.
And in that time frame, at that point now, I'm able to come into the mix now and start.
Yeah, well, it's very simplified.
Yes.
know. Come on.
So first of all,
And then you're changing lives from that
so
point
first
on.
of all,
Okay.
Vaporwave K9 only recruit ex-military or ex-law enforcement personnel.
Okay.
For the very reason I
Yes,
alluded to
rightly
earlier
so.
is we want people to put themselves in harm's way. Beth herself is ex-US Air Force.
Wow.
She's dual citizenship. But aside from that, obviously, you got to be physically fit because unlike a traditional bomb dog,
Yes.
who sniffs out static objects and is then basically on standby,
Right.
waiting for a call out to
Yes.
Yes.
sniff out an object.
Yeah.
Our dog teams are constantly maneuvering.
Okay.
They could clock up, 9 to 10 miles a day depending on the event, constantly screening people. And that's the difference is
That's
that
incredible.
vaporwake dog is constantly working. So they have to be conditioned and environmentally socialized and physically fit.
Yes.
So Alabama, I'm glad you mentioned Alabama. So Vaporwake K9 is obviously based out of Anniston, Alabama.
Okay.
We're positioned on the old Fort McClellan, which
Okay.
was a U.S. Army base.
Okay.
Since being decommissioned to a large extent. But we have a 320-acre training academy, which is vast. We have a 150-run kennel system. We have state-of-the-art PA systems, air conditioning, sluicing out facilities, which is automated, which is obviously washing away the poo,
Yes.
simplified.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We have an improvised explosive device threat room. We're ATF licensed. We're DEA licensed. We have a road conditioning program. So basically, our dogs are conditioned. So they go out and they're harnessed to a golf cart.
Okay.
And we bring them out and we get them, physically fit. We have a treadmill system. We have an on-site triage and veterinary clinic. We have
Massage. Please tell me. Massage. What else?
yeah.
Her head, as soon as it massaged her head,
Yeah,
went
her
up.
head lifted.
Like, yeah.
So did
Yeah, I
Beth's
think-
actually.
Yeah, I guess Ellen,
uh,
you bumped out Ellen's massage in order to come on the show
yeah,
today.
yeah.
Look, the facilities are amazing. So, and that's where it's important to note as well that vaporwake dogs and our traditional dogs are trained on live substances.
Okay.
So, outside of law enforcement agencies in Canada, very few private organizations have the ability to train on live substances. So what they use is pseudo or, synthetic materials. So it's important to state that all vaporwake dogs are trained on live substances, including TATP and HMTD, which are, precursor chemicals mixed together.
Yes.
They're like a shake and bake bomb.
Yes. Wow.
That you can make in your kitchen.
Okay.
You can put it in the fridge, it crystallizes, and you have a device that can cause vast amounts of damage when mixed with shrapnel.
Okay.
In fact, all the last number of suicide bomber attacks, including the ones in Sri Lanka and Colombo recently, have been TATP. Manchester was TATP. Paris was TATP. Belgium was TATP. So all our dogs are trained on live substances, which is
Okay.
important to note as well.
Yes.
But,
Crazy, man.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things we hope that we never have.
Right.
Touch
and-
wood, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be
Preventative.
and
Yeah.
proactive.
Absolutely. What's life with Ellen like?
This dog wakes up at 4:00 in the morning, so it's a lot like boot camp.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, bring you back.
Revelie's playing, only it's her barking in the morning.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
my
How old is she
goodness.
right now? Because she's
2.5.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
2.5 years old, and she's very motivated in the morning to eat breakfast.
Yes,
It's-
like all labs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very parental relationship. It's a mom and dog or a dad and dog relationship. I mean, even when Beth went to the restroom there, and I had Ellen in the green
I-
room, like she whined. She
Yeah.
and she's been around me a while,
Right.
and a good bit, but she wanted her mom.
Yes.
But even walking up from Union, it's amazing to see the dog's interaction, because she would sniff out a bag and there was nothing there for her to indicate on, so she just looked back at mom as if to say, "Mom, nothing there," and
Right.
she looks for a bit of praise.
What else?
What else? Yeah.
Yep.
And
Wow.
it's just an amazing relationship, and that's where the one handler, one dog relationship comes into it.
Yes.
The certification, and the certification, guys, is very important as well. I mean, surprisingly, Canada has no national standard for detection dogs or for policing dogs to adhere to, which is
Wow.
again something that we're pushing for, and I'm pushing
Amazing.
for. I mean, I only had a conference call last week with the Standards Council of Canada to push for a national handler canine certification program.
Yes.
So we will look to develop that. It's going to take a couple of years. It's not going to be a quick fix. People may have tried before and didn't succeed, but we need to get a standard in, which is where it's important that vaporwake dogs adhere to the standard that we adhere to, because it's I have a dog hair in my mouth.
Hey.
Because it's a recognized standard.
Okay.
It's Auburn University Veterinary Medicine Department that issues the certification. It's recognized by U.S. State Department, by Department of Defense. It exceeds the National Association of Police Working Dog standards. It exceeds IPWADA, which is the International Police Working Dog Association. It exceeds the USPCA. So it exceeds NORT, which is the National Odor Recognition Testing. That's a mouthful. But it exceeds all those standards the Auburn program does.
Okay.
And just to throw it in there, and I know it's a huge sales pitch for Vaporwake,
Yeah.
but it is the only laboratory tested canine detection technology in the world.
Ooh.
So it's tested. It was sponsored by the U.S. State Department, the testing was. And it was tested by University of Southern Mississippi and CS4, which is the National Center for Stadium or for Spectator Sports and Stadium Security. And it was tested by them and certified over a 2-week period. So it's
Amazing.
the only laboratory tested canine technology in the world.
Okay, well, I think,
I feel like I'm all out of words now.
yeah, no, this is a lot of acronyms,
A lot of acronyms.
associations.
Do you know how long it took me to get those acronyms together?
Hey, listen, it was worth it. Look,
It is.
I think we would like to let's spotlight Beth and Ellen.
Yeah, while you're doing that,
Say hello.
while you're doing that, because we're going to be shooting that, why don't you throw, how do people find Vaporwake? How do people, first of all, if I'm a business and if I'm a person interested in joining the family,
Very simple, guys. It's homeofvaporwake.com/Canada.
Okay.
So homeofvaporwake.com/Canada.
Okay. Any social media presence? Like you guys on Instagram?
Yeah,
or?
we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Don't ask me what the
The handles are?
or
Yeah.
the handles are because you
Yeah.
know, I don't know them off the top of my head.
Right.
But yeah, if you Google Vaporwake, you know, you'll find us.
Okay.
Not an issue.
And if anyone's looking at, like I said, also joining, is there like opportunities where they can
Absolutely.
join?
Vaporwake is new to Canada, but you know it's growing.
Okay.
And it is going to grow, not organically. It's going to be an aggressive growth spurt.
Yes. Yes.
So absolutely.
That's in my opinion, that's the best way.
Yeah,
That's the best way.
Absolutely. I mean, we're only really now marketing our services. I mean, we're only 6 months in Canada.
Okay.
So although Vaporwake has been around a decade now or
Yeah,
more in
yes.
the US, the Canadian element is only about 6 months old. So
Okay.
you know, all you got to do is look at our past performance, though, and you know, people are recognizing our past performance. There's some very proactive organizations out there from a security perspective.
Okay.
And I don't mind mentioning one. TIFF are extremely proactive.
Okay.
Now, TIFF haven't secured our services.
Yes.
But I know from dealing with TIFF in the past that, you know, they have spoken to us about Vaporwake.
Okay.
They haven't secured our services. However, they are proactive and from a budgetary perspective will budget for canines going forward.
They should.
Vaporwake.
They should. Look, if event planners and organizations are spending $10,000 for a table centerpiece,
Yes.
they gladly can have a budget for a canine.
absolutely.
Well, this is a nice sculpture done by an artist out of Johannesburg. Yes, we've done that. We've done our fair share of
Yes.
the ultra luxury.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
now when ultra practical is what needs to happen.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
For
I mean,
sure, guys.
my mind's flying right now of just clients that we have that we need to be in more conversation with what you
100%.
do.
100%.
The more we know exactly what you do and how, we definitely need to integrate it in what we offer.
And look, guys, we're more than happy to help. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the thing about Vaporwake is we're very selective with our partners and who we work with, and I can tell you, you know, from my perspective, that we would gladly work with you guys. Not a problem.
Amazing.
Okay, hey.
I love that, man.
Vaporwake approved.
Yeah.
The
That's
seal of
awesome.
approval.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
Okay,
you
so
go.
look, we got the camera right now, and we're introducing. That's Beth and the lovely Ellen. Ellen, I hope you're okay if I call you the lovely Ellen.
She loves it.
Okay. If you, okay, so Ellen's 2.5 years old.
She is.
How much does she weigh?
She weighs about 51 pounds.
Okay, that means
Yeah.
lean and mean, I guess, right?
Lean and mean.
As you were saying.
Yep.
Yes.
And she's still growing.
If you can just give us an idea, take it away. I mean, you do have a bag that obviously Ellen's quite familiar with.
Yes.
If you know, you talked about. I mean, for someone who's not familiar with this process and what you need to do, what is it that Ellen's going to be looking for? Does she exercise sight at all when she's working, or is it 100% smell?
It's 100% smell.
Okay.
I mean, she can recognize what a bag is, but
Yeah.
she takes the initiative to go and search it. I don't have to tell her. Right? There's an old school discipline that required a lot of presentation and encouragement by the handler to say, hey, I need you to actively search this and show it. And I do that to a degree. It's just the areas that she misses. Right? Like if we cut a corner, I'll back her and be like, don't forget this corner because we passed it at an awkward angle.
Yep.
Right? But she works very, very independently. In fact, I just hold on to the leash and watch her.
Right.
It's
For the
amazing.
most part, yeah.
As right now, case in point.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. And this is what she does, like just on her own, right?
Yes.
And she'll often look back, like on her walk here. Hey, I didn't see anything, but did I do a good job? And she's very receptive to me, just saying, "Good girl," right? We've been searching for like 30 minutes straight, where she hasn't found anything, and she's like, you know, you can see that she's anxious almost, that she wants to find something, but it's just all it takes is for me to say, "Good girl," and she's like, she just started. She
Now, what's the
amped up
indicator
again.
when she does find something? How does she indicate
Well, first,
to you?
yeah, absolutely. So she gets into odor, and for me, she has a change in behavior, right? It could be the way she's holding her head, how her tail is. Sometimes the hair on her neck kind of spikes up a bit. All these little fine, minute changes in behavior. That's my job, to observe that in her.
Amazing.
And keep that and keep the dog in odor and working towards the source. And once she gets to the source, she sits very fast and is like, hey, where's my reward?
Now, obviously, that's quite different than than a drug sniffing dog, because a drug sniffing dog wouldn't sit. Why is it important that bomb sniffing sits versus paws and tries to claw at the bag?
Because narcotics don't go boom.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. We
Whoa,
want a
that's a-
passive indication
what
to
a
keep
great line.
absolutely every
Narcotics don't go boom.
They-
For all
you're always
those,
talking about T-shirts. There's
I
a
know,
T-shirt right
narcotics don't go boom.
They
Aside
don't.
from all that party scene in Toronto.
Except in your head.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. In its own way.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And that's why I love being an explosive detection canine handler. You know, if people want to do drugs, that's your own thing. I mean, I was taught not to, right? But explosives actually hurt people,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about
yeah,
it.
it's amazing.
Yeah, like
I mean, the work's great.
it is.
It's great
yeah,
work.
and it's important.
Incredibly honorable.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what you signed up for, coming from, you're
Without
tough
a
because you're
doubt.
American, first of all.
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
Right? But,
Ask
I mean,
her where she's from.
Yeah, where are you from the
I'm
States?
originally from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going there this December.
All right, I'll be
Yeah.
there with you.
Oh, my goodness. Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
And then all the way to Toronto
I
to our
know.
lovely winters.
That's what happens when you marry Canuck.
So, I mean, Derek was alluding to, so you're no stranger to it, about the sacrifice. To
No,
do
not
this
at all.
work, that you understand that you've made a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You know there's great honor in what it entails. Why did you choose this?
It chose me,
Ooh.
honestly. My father was in the U.S. Army. He was in the Sapper program. He was in the Ranger program. I've been around explosives literally my whole life, and just to serve my country, to serve the community, that's all I know, right? And to be able to apply that, I mean, I've been the crazy dog lady since I was born, and now I'm living the dream. Like this isn't work. It's not work for her because it's a game of hide and go seek, right? She doesn't know the difference.
If we all had that attitude in
No,
life, eh?
absolutely.
You know,
'Cause,
amazing.
there's at the airport particularly, people are like, oh, that poor dog's working. No, she's having fun. She's miserable when she's not working.
Absolutely.
Go on a weekend and they get pent up. They're like, when are we going to work? When are we going to work?
Yes.
Right? Their happy place is going to work.
So
Their
the cottage life is overrated, I guess.
it is for the dogs.
It is
Yeah.
an explosive
Absolutely.
detection dog and a
Yeah,
paperweight dog.
and we talked about how only 10% of the dogs become successful in our program. The same applies for handlers because not anybody can be a handler. You can have good intentions, you can have all the experience in the world. It takes a certain type of person to be an explosive detection canine handler.
And you got to have great hand-eye coordination.
100%.
Can imagine.
100%.
Yeah, because the dog will cross you, you'll cross the dog, you'll get tangled in
Absolutely.
leads. You got to know where you're going.
Oh, yeah.
And have great
incredible.
awareness,
And great
incredi-
awareness.
and great
Yeah.
instincts too.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
You know,
Indeed.
I mean, what is it? What has Ellen taught you on instinct? Instinct is one of those words that we apply to the animal kingdom.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
flippantly, we understand that it's everything.
So I live by the motto, trust my dog. And I say that her
That's
and I-
another T-shirt.
Yeah. Yep.
That's another
Trust my dog.
T-shirt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because we were in a training scenario and we were in our what would be considered a productive search area, and she indicates, and I'm like, wait a second, I know that there's I didn't put anything there.
Oh,
So
this
what
was
are
funny,
what are
guys,
you
yeah.
telling me? And it's just like, okay, well, there you had a change in behavior. I mean, she literally jumped up, put her entire head in one of those trash cans where the lid automatically shuts, whole head in there, and just slams her butt down on the ground. I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
And the funny
Right?
thing is, guys, we had a second dog on site for the training scenario, and the second dog indicated.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we were like, okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
we have a
su-
problem.
Yeah, so we suspended training, and I mean, I went into game mode, like,
Yep.
hey, let's secure this area, back away, radio silence, let's go. Like, there's something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was leftover fireworks and
Fireworks.
smoke grenades. Like,
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So the dog's olfactory system is, and the odors are broken down to parts per trillion. So your traditional bomb dog, their odors and their senses would be broken down to parts per billion. With the vaporweight dogs, it's parts per trillion. So they have a very, very acute sense of smell.
If you want to learn more about that,
Traditional dog.
Google that.
Google
and
that,
Get
yes,
a,
that's
a
what I
good
had to
sense.
do.
I want to look into it. No, I really do.
Absolutely.
I want to get a good
Yeah.
sense of what it's
Yeah.
about. So it chose you.
it did, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm an adrenaline junkie. I don't know. It doesn't faze me, the idea of being in harm's way. And even when I was deployed to different war zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, like it just to me, yeah, send me again, gladly. Like,
So look, I'm going to create a scenario. We're at
Yeah.
Starbucks. We don't know each other. We're both waiting for our caramel macchiatos, and they're slow because this barista's on training. And I ask you, I say, hey, what do you do? You let me know, and I'm just like, whoa, okay. And I just ask you why. Why would you do that?
Yeah, why not?
I love these answers. It's so good. No, why would you do that? Like, I mean, like, does Canada need this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, like, everybody has a tendency to be reactive. And when you're dealing with human lives and the general public safety, we can't afford to. The world has changed, and it changed in 2001, right? Everybody knows right now in their mind exactly where they were and what happened, okay?
Yeah.
So the world has changed from that moment on, and why are we going to sit back and let it happen again?
Yeah.
Really, right? Because then
think
that's your fault. That's your responsibility.
I think the great danger now is apathy.
Yes,
Is literally just thinking that we're good. There's that point where you're just like, we've covered our bases.
And complacency.
Yes.
Complacency kills. It does.
Yes.
And that's just the fact of the matter. And you can't say it's about money anymore.
Can I ask you from your unique perspective? Look, Canadians believe everything is inherently safe.
Yeah.
That we're all inherently decent. And there's an element of that. We don't have a strong military culture.
No.
Most Canadians don't know someone who is served or actively served or is even in those circles.
Mm-hmm.
Very different on the south of the border. Very different.
Yep.
Your point, your opinion. What is it? And you can say, if you could be honest, we appreciate even just an honest
Always.
outside perspective to be
Always.
completely objective. What is your take on Canadians and how they view Homeland Security, their safety, and what is it, if there is a gap or if there's something that we could shore up or do quite well, what is it that you'd recommend? Just for
absolutely.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is people live in a bubble, and I have no problem every day waking up and providing you a world that allows you to have that bubble. But you have to acknowledge and realize that somebody is there, including this dog, working 24/7 to allow you to live in that bubble. I want you to have that bubble. That's why I get up and work every day. That's why her and I train every single day. So we don't mess up. We don't drop the ball, because I want you to have that bubble. And Canada does, to an extent. The people exude that. They live in that bubble. But it's time to wake up and acknowledge that that's your world, because somebody is providing that for you.
It's true.
Very well said.
It's a key point. I would say the opposite to the bubble is the burden.
Yes.
That there's someone
yes.
who carries the burden for you to be able to enjoy that.
Absolutely.
And it's just acknowledgement. You don't have to. It doesn't have to take over your life.
No, not at all.
But to acknowledge it means maybe there's facets of it that you could integrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a young son. He's about 1.5 years now, and he's just learned how to put his fingers in his ears, and he's realized like things kind of sound different.
Yeah.
And he'll run around screaming at the top of his lungs, ah, and with his fingers in his ears. Do that. I want you to live like that. But there are things that are happening
Yes.
that you don't know about, and it's okay. But the threat's there.
Right.
Absolutely. So enjoy your bubble. We will work hard to maintain it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Maintain not to get
and
it popped.
hopefully those drinks get finished soon.
Yes.
Right.
Right? And we could
Absolutely.
get on with I can live in my bubble. You could carry that burden.
Absolutely.
No, thank you. That was
Hey,
incredible.
My pleasure. Anytime.
I want to say this right now.
Yeah.
Vaporwake Canada, Vaporwake Canine General. I'll tell you this: just hearing you describe it today, Derek, and hearing obviously Beth what you describe as a handler. I mean, that to me exudes product excellence.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
to me, like this is not no Mickey Mouse thing. This is the real deal to me.
Pushing the envelope,
100%.
tip of the spear, not just embracing what's there, but constantly think how we can reinvent it.
Absolutely. And I respect that on such a high level.
Yeah.
Because to me, I feel most of society just operates on this just one gear, right?
We all do autopilot.
Well,
Yeah.
we all
Absolutely.
get into autopilot.
but in our industry, we can't afford to be autopilot.
no, not at all.
And that's to me the case. It's like we're this is a very, very big thing that people need to understand, right? You're not going to wait for your house to get robbed and then get an alarm. You want to get there before you do that. And you're not going to just get any alarm. You want to make sure you get the right alarm, right? So I really want to thank both of you guys, actually all three of you, for
Yes.
coming down today.
Absolutely.
Very welcome. It was a
I
pleasure
think this
and
is
an honor.
incredible. We want to do anything that we can do to help with our clientele,
Amazing. Yep.
making them aware of this service, because at the end of the day, it makes our jobs easier as well.
For sure.
We did an event a couple of years ago for an Audi series, Audi speaker series.
Yeah, innovation series. We should be careful just with sometimes saying the names. It was sponsored by Audi. We'll just say that.
Yes, okay.
Okay, sponsored by them.
Exactly.
And it was literally the day after the attacks in Paris.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, that
Right,
happened.
Right.
High alert, very different. Some of our team that are internationally trained used their skill set and
Yep.
did their own sweep. Okay, they did a visual sweep. Some of the people on site had no idea what they're doing.
Right.
They got onto this really nice stage that had really nice couches, and guys were moving and going on the floor, checking and doing a visual
Yep.
search. Client asked, "What the?" Basically, turned to Constantine and
Yeah.
said,
"What are you guys doing?
What are you guys doing?"
Yeah. Why are you guys looking under the chairs?" And we just said we're doing a bomb sweep, right? Just to see there's nothing there. And they were like, "Oh, it just set in their mind. Didn't even go there. Like
Yep.
you actually have to start looking for that."
Now, but the thing is, they were highly receptive to it.
Yes.
And in this kind of world of this, in its beautiful bubble wrap,
Yep.
that's what it is, and
Yeah.
we're in it, in the middle of it. If our personnel did that a week previous, it would have been highly frowned upon.
Right.
It would have disrupted
I completely
the
agree.
cameras that were in focus and the lights, and it just it makes people
Yeah.
feel uneasy and all these
Yeah.
things. Okay,
And
but
that's the thing is, Michael, is that, after a global event, people then become reactive, no matter where they are in the world. And that reactiveness lasts a certain period of time, and then they lose it again. So, what we need people to do is to be proactive 24/7, and, to keep that see something, say something, element in their head, because, it's great being reactive post a global event.
yeah.
But that global event could be your city next.
Okay.
So just keep
Yeah.
that in your head.
It's true, and I say that in that same week we did have another client that had a huge event. About 3,000 to 4,000 people had to be screened.
Yep.
They were screened like they've never been screened. It was the teams that were on the ground were screening them as thorough as the airports, and they were just going to a high class event. I'd say of the 4,000, about 4 were very livid that it was happening.
Yep.
They could, and man, I have to
Yeah.
empty my pockets. Okay, but for the large majority, there was even people that went to some of the teams that we had and literally even like grabbed their arm, looked in the eye, and just said thank you, and just said thank you, because we know when we go in here we can have the time of our lives.
Yes.
That like this is maybe it's necessary. It's something that we would rather not have happen, but there's an element that we now we can enjoy with peace of mind, and I think that's kind of what that's kind of our hope. Our hope is to kind of elevate what we do, or to kind of bring up this awareness and a high standard. I
Absolutely.
think, Derek, you spoke on those words about just speaking to the standard so that it is now just integrated in what is done kind of as the norm, and then everyday people could live everyday lives. Okay, and also be given the tools that if something happened, we've talked about when the shooting was happening in Danforth. There's people literally just dining on adjacent restaurants and
Yeah.
venues and had no clue.
Yep.
Right.
And they literally had
Yep.
no clue. And we've been trying to think, okay, our whole teams have been thinking, what would we do if we were there? If we were there with our families, what would be the response? If we were in charge of a venue and that was happening, how are we ready for that? The car that drove along Yonge Street, okay, what if we were there? What could we do to prevent something like that? Do we have any role? Do civilians have a role? Could, just businesses, could they be primed and prepared and be given the skill set to see indicators that if they saw something, they let, authorities know well in advance versus kind of being on autopilot, being in their bubble,
Absolutely.
enjoying their poorly prepared caramel macchiato. Right?
Yeah.
It's funny to keep referencing that because
Yeah.
I've had it once and I've never forgotten because it was the biggest sugar rush of my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, to me, that's great opportunity. There's an
Yep.
amazing opportunity. I mean, for us, we talk about it. Man, we're more than just the security industry. We know that we're fathers. We love all things, sport and music, but at the same token, we feel that there's a responsibility that we're attuned to.
Yep.
It's a frequency, I think, and this is where
Absolutely.
for those that are in that are first responders that are in the private security, we want to be a proponent of that for everyone to up their game.
Yes.
And the reason why is the more aware that you are, if you are working, if you truly loved your work like Ellen, if you truly played the game of I'm going to be attentive at every moment for the sake of the whole, you never know who you are. You might just be that guy who's 21 who's just doing this as a part-time job, but you might pick up on something.
Absolutely.
You might see something. You might have a gut feeling of, I don't trust what that guy just put back in his pocket.
Right.
Okay, and I mean, as much as I love these specialties, there's a standard that just needs to be.
Yep. And could you imagine, people that did see something, say in Manchester or in Belgium or in Paris, that said, okay, that wasn't right. I'm sorry I didn't say anything sooner.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
man.
the problem
Yep.
is apathy. You
It would-
gotta be productive in your own self as well. If you see something that doesn't sit quite right, if you're working in, Canadian Tire for
Could be
argument's
anywhere.
sake, or Home
Absolutely.
Depot, and somebody's buying all these precursor materials that together make up a homemade explosive device, and they're buying them in large quantities. Like,
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
suspicious.
Yes.
Well, everybody is comfortable in some environment because they wake up and they see it. And when something changes in that particular environment, that person is aware of it because they know, hey, that's out of place, right? Whereas
Yes.
if you walked into it, you don't know if that box has always been there or not, right? So to some degree, everybody has a role in picking up and reporting this, whatever differences. in their-
Discrepancies of something,
Exactly.
yeah.
Something that's out of the usual, right? Like we had at the airport, one of the bombers had gloves on, and it was a hot summer day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? That's a huge indicator. Now, all of us here, we're trained to recognize those differences, but you can't tell me somebody at that airport didn't think that was odd.
That's odd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
But then what do you do with it? It can't just be an inclination. There
No,
needs
you
to be
can't
something.
you can't just let it go. I mean, I can't even. I was at an office supply store once, and there was a highlighter on the floor, and I walked by it, and I was just like, you know what? Go pick it up because somebody might trip on it. Absolutely. And like I literally stopped in my tracks, turned around, and picked it up.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even in
Absolutely.
the in the most minute,
Yep. And
mundane way.
And did it make a huge impact? I don't know,
You
but
just- yeah.
potentially
Potentially
it
it
could have.
could've, for sure.
Absolutely. And what the thing is we have to think like the bad guys or gals, right? Because the tactics change. We come up with a new security measure, and they're going to find another way around it.
For sure.
That's what the bad people do,
Yes.
right?
Perfect.
So
Very well said.
Hence, we cannot sit on just the autopilot of what is.
Absolutely.
We have to always be pushing
Exactly.
the envelope.
Yep.
Always.
always.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having us.
Definitely
Yeah.
want to find ways that we can
Yep.
create some opportunities where our client base interacts.
For sure.
Excellent value add service. Derek O'Rourke, and we got Beth and Ellen. Thank you so much.
The lovely
Absolutely.
All chillaxing, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Thanks
much.
so much.
See you in Hawaii.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys, have a
Okay.
good one.
Rock on.
Listen to this episode on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure to drop by next week. And don't forget to subscribe.
Let's go!
It's time to give a shout out to our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Sentinel Security Plus. For all your premium security needs, visit sentinelsecurityplus.com.
And The Substance Group for all your integrated marketing solutions. Visit thesubstancegroup.com.